Okay.
So
Okay,
here.
so we're going to talk today about the month of cheshvan. Today is actually the ninth day of cheshvan. Cheshvan is the eighth, called the eighth month. It's the month following Tishrei, following the high holidays. Um, so a lot of interesting things about this month that we're going to discuss. Um, so first of all, the number eight signifies things that are above nature. So that is very interesting about the month of Cheshvan, especially once we start talking about it. Um, when we think of Cheshvan, we think of routine, back to the grind, back to regular, back to work. Like this, the month of Tishrei had Rosh Hashanah, and then it had Yom Kippur, and then it had Sukkot, and then it had Simchas Torah, and every other day you have to take off for work, and every other day there's some kind of holiday, and every other day there's some celebration, and you feel there's like spiritual, holy, Jewish high, and then all the holidays are over and boom, back to regular life. And you feel like you almost forget about all that great stuff that you went through in the last month. And you're here in Tishrei when just things are back to normal. You're kind of, honestly, are you in your comfort zone or should you be in your comfort zone? Do you like, you know, um, having your rhythm and your regular schedule and everything like that? So we're going to talk about this. There is a concept called the Yaakov halach darko. It means and Jacob went on his way. Um, that is talking about something else, but we take that line and we use it for the month of Cheshvan. We say, okay, Tishrei, also in the old days, the Jewish people would go to Jerusalem, right? And they would celebrate Sukkot and Simchas Torah and everything at the Holy Temple, at the Beis Hamikdash. And they were all there and it was so magnificent and so beautiful, again, so inspiring. And then they'd all have to go back um, to their homes. And they didn't have cars and they didn't have planes. They had to actually walk or go on their donkeys or camels and get back to their homes. Now, it took a little bit of time to get there, get home. And some people, depending how far they lived, the farthest people came from across the Euphrates River. Um, and it took those people all the way till the 7th of Cheshvan, which was this past Friday, would have been this past Friday, to get home. And like that would go back finally. That would be like the final closing of the holiday month, and to get back into your regular daily grind. Now, as I mentioned before, um, Cheshvan is the eighth month. Eight signifies things that are above nature because seven is a cycle of the week and seven is considered within nature. When you get to eight, you're going above nature. So what does Cheshvan have to do with above nature? It seems like Cheshvan is the most like, is the natural, is the regular way. Um, it's the it's the month that we do the work. We take all the holiness of the high holidays, we take the inspiration, and all those things from the high holidays and from the holiday of Sukkot and Simchas Torah, and we have to bring that into our natural life, into our everyday working life, into our real routine, regular routine life. Okay. Um, It's the time that the Jews, they'd come, it would be this the fall, right? It's autumn, and they'd come back from the holidays, and they would start planting, they'd start getting to work. So yes, we go back to our regular grind and our regular work, but in Israel, back in the ancient times, they would start to, plant seeds and do what they need to do to get the ground working. And it's also a very important time for rain. It's the rain season. So another interesting thing about the um, month of Cheshvan, it's the month that we start praying for rain. So yes, we've made the initial blessing for rain on Shmi Atzeres, the second part of the Sukkot holiday. But in Israel, they would actually start asking for rain every day on the 7th of Cheshvan. And rain signifies um, sustenance, bringing down the blessings from God. All our hard work, we work, and then we need the rain to come and make it successful. So this shows that we're going from below to above. We ask Hashem for rain, and Hashem then provides it. When Adam, the first man, when he was created, and he looked around, he looked beautiful, Mal.
Yeah.
Looked around, and he saw all these things. They were starting to grow, but they weren't ready for the picking. And no rain came. Adam had to ask Hashem for rain for those things to finish. Then Hashem brought rain, and then those things grew enough that he was able to, pick the produce. So there's an idea of us having to ask for it and having to work for it. So it's a good lesson in our life. We must do the work. We must do the finishing touches. Like God didn't make the world perfect. That God didn't make the world that it's all just going to work by itself. He made it that humans have to do something. Humans have to work at it. Humans have to do something to create the finishing touches, to make things actually happen, to not say fix the world or perfect the world. Hashem gave us that task, and that's why He waited for Adam to ask for rain for it to come. It just doesn't come by itself. As we all know, we got to work hard to make things happen. So when we look at cheshvan, usually it gets a bad rap this month. Because you say, oh, it's always good. I remember when I was in school, they would always tell us, oh, it's a month with no holidays. It's just a very, kind of the lowliest month, a simple month, nothing special about it. It's a really kind of boring old month. There's no spiritual highs, there's no holy days, there's nothing extraordinary. Not just that, but the flood in the time of Noah started in this month. So it's like, rainy, cold, yucky months. Who wants Cheshvan to come? Or is this the month that has the most potential? Is this the month that we can get that rain? It has the highest potential this month. We need to work really hard. We need to take everything that we gained in the month of Tishrei during the holidays and like and put it into this month, and then this month can become the holiest and greatest month. And we're going to explain that a little bit more as we go on. So first of all, people also call the month of Cheshvan. They have like a little prefix to it. It's called Mar Cheshvan. Mar in Hebrew means bitter. Bitter, why? Because there's no holidays, so it seems like a bitter month. And not just that, that was the month of the rain, the month that the flood came in times of Noah. So it seemed like, oh, not such a good day, not such a good month. Mar could also mean drop, like think of raindrops. Okay, we begin asking Hashem for rain, for raindrops to come. Interestingly enough, the Beis Hamikdash at the time of King Solomon was completed in the month of Cheshvan, but they didn't celebrate it until Kislev, until the Hanukkah time. So it says, because of that, Hashem promised that when the third Beis Hamikdash will be rebuilt, we'll celebrate it in this month of Cheshvan. So this month has lots of potential. Another thing about this month, I said before, the 7th of Cheshvan, in Israel, they begin praying for rain. Why? As I said, I explained before about people who used to go back home after the holidays. They wouldn't get home until that day. And the people who lived out of the land of Israel, the people who lived in Babylonia, they didn't need rain so as much. They had lived in marshy areas. And because of that, they only started praying for rain 60 days into the season, which comes out. We use the solar calendar for that. And that's December 5th is when everyone outside the land of Israel changes one of the prayers in the Amidah to pray for rain.
Oh, excuse me. Can you pray for snow, which turns to rain?
Well, it's all part. It depends how cold you are. So if it's cold enough, it becomes snow,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But yeah, it's for what's it called? For hydration. Um. So our work is what brings the rain. Our serving Hashem is what brings the physical blessings in the world. Now, the flood, which I said started on the 17th of the month of Cheshvan, also ended on the 17th of the month of Cheshvan the following year. Where did that happen? In the lower world, in our world. It happened down here. And instead of thinking about it just as a punishment, it was also refining the world. We spoke about that, I think, last week at Torah studies, or 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, Torah studies. Think of the world as kind of enveloped in a mikvah, in a ritual bath. And And in the month of cheshvan, we alone refine the world without any help from above. We have to take our own inspirations and create a spiritual, holy world out of this world. How is that? So this is the work that we need to do to bring Mashiach, right? We always say to bring Mashiach, we need to reveal godliness in the world. We need to refine the world. When the world is full of godliness, Mashiach will come. So this is what the month of Cheshvan is all about. So the month of Cheshvan is not the lowliest world, the lowliest month, but it's actually the ultimate month because through the work that we do in Cheshvan, meaning when we refine everything in our own lives during this month, all the regular stuff, not that because we're going to show it's a holy place. No, we do very simple and take our simple life, our regular life, our non-holy life, and make it holy. So how do we do that? Bringing a mitzvah into your daily life, using all the resources you have in a way to make the world a better place and to glorify Hashem's name. I know we've discussed this many times, but for example, um, food. How do we make food holy? We say a blessing before we eat it and after we eat it. Second, take that energy that we got from eating that food and use it to do a mitzvah, use it to help someone, use it to learn Torah. So that automatically makes all the food that we ate holy and refines it and reveals the godliness in that world. How about at work? How do you refine your work and your workplace and your work environment to be holy and godly? So use Torah ethics when you work, right? Do things morally at work. Don't try to cheat or do anything that would be, not okay. Give a tenth or even a 20th of your income to tzedakah, to charity. Make a kiddush Hashem, which means glorify Hashem's name. Like they see you're a Jew, show them that Jews are good people. Or if you see another Jew, at work, you can teach them about another mitzvah. You can help them do a mitzvah. How about just when you're out and about, pleasure, on vacation, or wherever you're doing, find another Jew, help them, do something, do a mitzvah for them, do a good deed, or help them do a mitzvah. That's even better. So we need to reveal the sparks of godliness on the entire earth. And that is our work, which is epitomized in the month of Cheshvan, but really that's our work all year round. And that's how we bring Mashiach. So really, Cheshvan is the month of Mashiach. Now, you never know what the real reason you may end up somewhere. And you have to think wherever my feet tread, wherever I go, there is a higher, loftier purpose. So you get stuck somewhere, you take a wrong turn, something goes wrong. Instead of getting all upset and angry, you think, oh, why am I here? What mitzvah am I fulfilling over here? Can I do a mitzvah over here? So I just heard this really interesting story firsthand. There is a Chabad rabbi who lives in Rostov, Russia. He's quite a character. He has a handle on Instagram, so he's always talking about his life over there and different things. And it's a funny noise. Okay. And he was with his family in Israel recently. And Israel and Russia is not too far from each other. It's easy to take a flight there. And he did his things in in Israel, and he's headed with his family back to the airport to go back home. And this is all right. Everything that's going on in Israel, all these bombs coming down and everything. And as they get to the airport, or maybe before they get to the airport, there was a bomb alert, a siren, and everyone had to run to the shelters. It was really scary. He had to run with his family to the shelter. And they get to the airport, and then I think they even get on the plane and everything. And then they say, sorry, we're not flying. What do you mean you're not flying? There's bombs, and the airline doesn't, we're not allowed to fly. So everyone off the plane. He's like, oh gosh, they already had their suitcases and everything on the plane. They had to go back, they had to go to baggage claim, wait for their suitcases to come off. He's like, oh, what a bummer. Here I am. I need to get back home, need to get back to work, need to get ready for, I think it was the high holidays or whatever he had to get ready for. And now I'm stuck here. We don't know for how long. We don't know what. And he's thinking, what am I doing here? Why did Hashem make this happen to me? Now, he had a elderly gentleman that he knew in Rostov, in the city where he lived, who had a no, sorry. He had somebody, and they had a relative, elderly gentleman relative, who lived in a city called Pedagorsk. And this relative in Pedagorsk um, was not well, and a he needed to see a specialist, an oncologist. And the people came to said, "Do you know any? Do you have any pull? Do you have any? Do you know any doctors or any oncologists in Pedagorsk? Because our relative really needs to see somebody quickly." And the only appointment they'll give him is within a month. Is in a month from now. And it was, not was not good to wait for a month. He's going to see an oncologist. You can imagine. And he's sitting in the airport and he sees like someone else that's waiting around and somehow get on what he saw on him, but he realized he's from the city of Pedagorsk. I don't know if like on his luggage it's had like a tag or something about it and it said Pedagorsk. And he goes over to him and he introduced himself and he started talking and said, "Oh, by the way, it is a weird question, but would you by any chance know any top oncologists in Pedagorsk?" And the guy says, "Oh my goodness, definitely. He's my best friend. I'll call him right now." And so this guy calls, gives a little of the story, the guy calls his best friend, the oncologist, and he says, "No problem, tell him to come to my office tomorrow." And he says, "Now I know why I got stuck here in Israel for extra long time, why my plane didn't go." So
Yeah.
again, there we go. He did something happen, his feet took him somewhere, his, divine providence took him somewhere, and he was able to do a favor for Israel. He was able to find something that he needed. So all of us, whenever anything happens to us, we gotta like look around and see, hey, why am I here? And that's what's the lesson of the month of cheshvan.
That's kind of like my car.
What happens to your car?
Well, the water pump is broken and it was in the shop. And well, I didn't know, but I thought, gosh, you know what? I probably should call VW corporate. Guess what? My car is a 2017. It's covered. It's covered. There was a class action suit. So
Oh,
it's
it's like a
all,
recall.
yeah, it was a recall. It's a class action suit on
Okay. Wow.
the water pump.
Wow.
So you just never know. You have to really think. And that's what you have to be attuned to. Like you're saying, you have to be aware to even think out of the box or think
Right. Exactly.
what we can do, what kind of
Think what am I
service we
here?
can
Think
be.
what, yeah, why God put me here at the moment?
Yeah.
Right. What are we gonna gain? Yeah. So okay. So as I said before, the month of Cheshvan is the eighth month of the year. Eighth shows higher than nature, so it kind of also shows Mashiach's times. King David had a harp, right? King David was very famous for playing on his harps. His harp had 7 strings. It says when Mashiach comes, his harp will have 8 strings. Okay. So this month is the month to plant the seeds, to work on our soul, um, by trying to refine, trying to find all the godly sparks that are around us and try to create the godly sparks and pray for rain. Okay. Now, another important thing about this month is on the 11th of Cheshvan, which falls out this Tuesday, is the yahrzeit of Rachel, Rachel Imenu, Rachel, our foremother. So this day is also known as the Jewish Mother's Day.
Oh.
Because Rachel was the ultimate mother. When we think of mothers, when we think of our mother, what do we think of? Anyone have any input? What they want to say? What do you think? What is a mother's job, or what is a mother's?
Love.
Well, it's
Love.
protective, warmth, care,
Mm-hmm,
education,
mm-hmm. Shelley, did you say love?
I said love.
love.
Is it just
Absolutely.
love? Because you have, spouses have love, siblings may have love. Love is a very,
It's
I don't say
different from
wide term word. What type of love?
Well, love is a
nothing.
feeling, not an action. You have
Mother.
to,
Okay.
the thing is that you can't just say love. You have to say an action. To me, is like love is a feeling. You have to do
Okay.
things, discipline, education, steer them in
No,
the right
but
direction. I mean, for children,
they teach love.
Teaching love. Okay.
well, I don't think you can teach love. I'm sorry.
Selfless,
Oh,
Well,
selfless
absolutely.
Disagree.
teaching empathy. You can teach
I
empathy.
disagree.
Absolutely.
I disagree with that. You can't
Okay.
teach you can't teach
Absolutely.
love. No, you
Why?
can't.
What's a mother's love more than any other love?
well, selfless.
Selfless,
Nurturing.
nurturing. Okay, great.
Yeah, unconditional.
Good. So I
Well,
actually saw
Some others. I mean, this is like
Oh,
genetic.
obviously, but you're saying a good. We're talking about like the best mom. If your mom didn't do all those things, if you wanted her to do those.
I don't think it's necessarily best if you have unconditional. You have to have discipline. I don't agree with that. So I have a whole
Okay.
different opinion. What everybody's talking about, and you can
Okay.
record me because I'm being recorded.
Okay. So mothers usually have to act with wisdom and intuition, and right, and however they portray whatever they want. If they want to teach discipline, if they want to, if they want to educate their children, but whatever it is that they want to do, they have to have a certain amount of wisdom and intuition to be able to, reach their children in the right way that it will have, a positive
Oh
effect.
yeah, right. Because each child's different. You have to know each child. That's correct. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the validation. So I actually just saw a very interesting story about actually a couple that lives here in LA. And I guess it's a whole long story, but basically she went through some fertility treatments because they wanted to have a child. They're having a difficult time having a child. And they implanted one embryo, and then um, they went to back to the doctor for the ultrasound, and they saw four babies growing. And it was a very whole long story. Should they reduce? Should they this? Should they that? And the husband was saying, like, my job was to help my wife figure, like to help her intuition, like, come out clear, not to like that, not to let her intuition get blocked by what everyone else was saying, but all the advice and this and that and everything. Because the mother's intuition really is what you need to like follow in that way. Sometimes a mother's intuition, there's something about it that like no one else, it's not explainable. I don't know. Okay, not scientific. I don't know what the word is. Okay. So Rachel, Rachel, our foremother, she was the true mother. She was the, um, you know, very, very, how was she the true mother? Because she was able, like someone said, selfless. She was willing to give up anything for her child, give up everything for her children. So what is it that Rachel gave up for her children? So there's a lot of different stories about Rachel, how she was selfless and giving. And the main thing that she did for her children, and not her like just two biological children, but her like the descendants and all the Jewish people, is that she passed away when Yaakov and his family, when they were traveling back to Israel from Tefrat, from Lavan's home in Haran. And she died on the way. And she was buried at the side of the road, now known as Beit Lechem, Bet Lechem. And she wasn't buried in a holy place. She wasn't buried in the family plot, quote unquote. She wasn't buried where everyone else was buried in the cave of Machpelah, and where her husband would eventually be buried. She gave all that up. Why? So not just the fact that because she just happened to die on the way, that maybe they could have like taken her a little bit further and buried her in the cave of the patriarchs, the Machpelah, but she was buried there because many years later, her children, were when they were exiled out of Israel by Nebuchadnezzar, they passed by her. They were traveling along the road and they passed by her grave. And this is after they were pogromed and pillaged and everything, and they were exiles. And they stopped to cry and weep and pray and get some solace at the side of the road by her burial place, Kever Rachel. And in turn, she prayed to Hashem on their behalf. And only of all the people that prayed for them, so only she was answered. And I will, I don't know if I should do this now. I'm trying to move the order of things to do. Okay, so what she did, so what happened was it says, okay, let me share it now. It can be easier. We'll do this in little steps. Okay, share this first. Actually, just share everything. Okay, let me share everything. Okay, so first, can you guys see the screen? Do you see this
Yes.
thing over here? Okay,
Yes.
so this is what it says, what happened. I'll play this, I'll play the song after we read it, I guess. A voice is heard on high, wailing, bitterly crying. Rachel weeps for her children. She refuses to be consoled, for they are gone. Jeremiah also tells us God's response. Restrain your voice from weeping. Hold back from their tears. Hold back your eyes from their tears, for your work has its reward, and your children shall return to their border. So God listens to her, and says that the Jews will return to Israel, obviously at a certain point, not that moment, but at a certain point. He like promises to return them to Israel. Now, why did God listen to her? Because of the famous story where she was so selfless to her sister in giving up her groom,
Oh, that's right.
so her sister would not be embarrassed. And that's a whole story in itself, how she taught her sister the different, secret code, the signs that just because her father Lavan, who was a very sly man, decided to switch the brides the night of the wedding, and Leah ended up being the bride instead of Rachel. And even though Rachel loved Yaakov very much and wanted to marry him, she did not want her sister to be shamed in public at the wedding ceremony. So let me just play the song now. There's two songs I want to play here. This is one. This is just the Hebrew. That's what I just read in English.
Oh, I can't hear it. Are you playing it?
Oh yeah, I am. You can't hear it?
No.
Oh, you know why? I know why. Okay, let me pause it
You
then.
haven't said anything.
I didn't
Yeah, right.
set, sorry, I didn't set share sound. How do I do this? 1 second. Screen share. Let's see. No. Okay, I can't figure this out. Oh gosh. Let me stop this share and this try this again. Share sound. Okay, right here. Okay. Now let's try this again. Tell me if you
can hear it.
Okay. Now, and so we see how selfish she was. She was selfish for her children that she, I say, allowed, or just because of who she was, she ended up being buried on the side of the road. Not with anybody, not in a holy place, not with holy people, just in the middle of nowhere. Number two, we see she was selfless, that she gave up the signs to her sister and she thought she would give up her marriage, so her sister wouldn't be embarrassed or anything. And she's the one, because of her, so the Jews went from exile and then eventually back into Israel, into Geula, into redemption. And eventually because her prize will bring us to redemption. Another thing that she did was selfless was that she stole her father's idols. She knew how terrible it was for her father to be serving idols. So when Yaakov and his family left Lavan's home and they escaped, she took the idols with him, hoping that he would stop serving idols. She did this altruistically, not because nothing that she would gain, which actually it made it her. That's why she died young, was because it was a curse on anyone that who stole his idols. So she had the ultimate selflessness. On Hebrew, we call it bittul. She never thought of herself. She only thought of others. She passed this trait on to her children, Joseph and Benjamin, that when Joseph was the viceroy in Egypt and his brothers, and he finally met, he met his, finally told his brothers who he was, and he met his younger brother, who was like the only whole brother that he had from his mother, like his mother's child, whatever. Um, they each cried on each other's neck. It says, why did they cry on each other's neck? Because they each cried because they knew that so Joseph cried because he knew that in Benjamin's territory, Jerusalem is in the area of Benjamin in Israel, and he knew that the two holy temples, the two Beis Hamikdashes, would be destroyed there. And Benjamin cried on Joseph's neck because the Mishkan, which they had through the years of the desert, they brought to Israel. It was in Shiloh, which was in Joseph's territory in Israel. So they each cried because they knew that there would be temples destroyed in each of their areas. They didn't think of themselves and what would be for their descendants, but only for their brothers' descendants. So anyway, she passed away this month, the 11th of the month. Again, we say that there's a prefix to the month of cheshvan called mar, bitter cheshvan. So because, again, she didn't pass away in a holy time, she wasn't buried in a holy place, she wasn't buried with holy people, but she passed away just to be with her children, her descendants in their time of need. Another thing we said before, that mar means drops. We're also thinking of teardrops. Her teardrops is what changed God's mind. He said, okay, I will return the children to their borders. Now, I just wanted to show you this. You guys still see the screen? This is what the tomb of Rachel Kever Rachel looked like for many, many years, from, probably from when it was built, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of years, until not so long ago. Only when the Jews returned to Israel in modern times did it actually get built up and city get built around it. But all for hundreds and thousands, whatever, for thousands of years, it was just a little thing on the side of the road and nothing around it. Now you go to, I'll show you this video, if we could fast forward.
Today, we're going to be visiting Kever Rachel, the tomb of Rachel. We are right now standing on the road to Efrat, on the way to the burial place of one of our matriarchs,
Who was
Rachel,
there? Anyone else?
our
Anyone
mother,
visit
Rachel Imenu.
Rachel's tomb? Raise your hand.
In the book of Bereshit, in the book of Genesis, it had difficult for you, Benjamin, over to Kever Rachel,
now it's
to the
all
tomb
like
of Rachel. However, due to security concerns in the area, special security measures are taken by the government in order to protect travelers who are coming both to and from the tomb to pray. Had we traveled to Kever Rachel, to the tomb of Rachel, 20, 30 years ago, this is exactly what we would have seen here. A simple tomb on the side of the road. Rachel Imenu, she epitomizes sacrifice in order.
Yeah, a second. Oh, okay, that's basically it. Okay, so basically you get a little thing of what it looked like.
Did they dig up her body?
What do you mean?
How did they transfer it? Oh,
They didn't. That's where she's buried.
yes, yes. Okay, yes. And they built it something around the tomb. Okay.
But they built like years ago, years ago, just that. And for years it was just like a, barren place. Only more recent times is there actually people, like there's apartments and city and everything and things there. And if the Jews wouldn't have gone back there, in the last however many years it is now, it would still be a barren place, my guess. And one more, I just want to end off with one more interesting thing is that according to Kabbalah, odd numbers is masculine and even is feminine. So Tishrei is an odd month. It's right, the seventh month, and it represents the father who, I'll say, commanding authority, and the father is the one who's more involved in like seemingly or from the outside, with people looking from the outside in, they say, oh, who goes to the show? Who's part of the minyan? Who gets the aliyah? Oh, it's the man. So they seem to be more involved in the spiritual or holy parts of the religion. And say, oh, what are the women, right? People complain, why can't women get the aliyah? Why can't women? But the month of Cheshvan is even month, and that represents the mother who's involved in the daily routine. And right, because Cheshvan is a month of routine. And the mother, she's the one that's taking care of the kids or seemingly doing mundane things. That's more her role. And seemingly, oh, she can't get the elite. No, but the month of Cheshvan is actually what signifies how holy we can be, because we're trying to bring the holiness into our everyday lives. Another really interesting thing is that the 11th of Cheshvan, which is the day that Rachel passed away, it's the 41st day since Rosh Hashanah. It's the 41st day of the Jewish year. And 41 in Hebrew is equal to the Hebrew word of aim, which means mother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very interesting. Yes.
Yes. It's all tied together.
All tied together. Exactly.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So that's our little lesson today. So on Tuesday, it's, I guess, a special day to pray. You could give charity to the, I think it's for the to the caretakers of the tomb of Rachel. You could, do a special prayer. They'll do a special prayer for you there, and they say that anyone who go, people go there to ask for that their prayer should be answered. They go there to pray, and since it's our mother and she can't say no, she always answers us.